I'm not an HR person, as you heard from Gordon's introduction there. Many years in aviation. Aviation safety is my background, where I looked after corporate compliance for Qantas, followed by construction industry, consulting, wholesale, and retail. One of the things that I found is that really the challenges that are faced by all of these organizations and industries in the compliance training space are very, very similar. So in my presentation today, I'm going to keep it very generic, and I hope that you can relate to the learnings that I'm going to share with you for your industries as well. When I talk about LMS implementation, by the way, as you see there on the slide, I really talk about these three elements here. So there's the LMS, but there's also the course builder, and there's the courses themselves. And I really believe you can't separate those topics. It's a bit like when you build an industrial kitchen. You know, you need to know what's the kind of food that you're actually going to cook in that kitchen. Are you going to make burgers that you're going to hand out to customers? You're going to make finger food that are going to be delivered to functions? You need to know that when you actually build the kitchen. And so I think very similarly, keep in mind what it actually is that you want to teach people later on your learning management system. And if you can do those things together, if you can build the learning management system at the same time as you think about the courses and the content, then I think that's ideal. First, I have to spend a minute on Tim. So Tim is our sales director, and he always says everyone's a salesperson. So even though I'm in corporate compliance, I do have to run you through our value proposition so you know who Staples actually are. Some of you may have heard Staples for office products and stationery and things like that, and that is a part of our business, but we're a lot larger than that. We are actually the world's leading source of business solutions. And sorry, for a moment, I'll just try to get this into presentation mode so I can see what I want to talk about on each slide. All right, that's all right. I know what we do anyway. So office supplies is what a lot of you know us for. We do a lot more facility solutions, business interiors, so all your workstations, your chairs that you sit on, safety solutions, personal protective equipment, kitchen supplies, coffee machines, coffee, corporate cellars for those still lucky enough to have a fridge that opens on Friday at 4 p.m. The alcohol is supplied by Staples. Business furniture, technology solutions, so the computers that you sit on, pre-configured iPads, laptops, print solutions, and anything you want your logo printed on, we do it as well. We're larger than a lot of you might think because we are purely business to business. We've got 80,000 staff worldwide. 1,600 of those are in Australia and New Zealand. So a fairly sizable organization, $1 billion in Australia and New Zealand, and we are the third largest retailer, e-retailer in the world, followed by Alibaba, which is the Chinese eBay, basically, and Amazon. So quite a large organization, 200 Staples trucks on the road in Australia and New Zealand, and we operate in 25 countries. So if you aren't actually buying from Staples yet, please see me afterwards. If you need one pen and one ruler, you can go to Officeworks. But if you need 1,000, come to me. So that was for Tim. Back to the topic. Why did I end up as a compliance person with the learning management system in just about every role that I actually had? The reason being, you know, compliance is one of those things that only compliance people usually get excited about. So I was usually left with the task of actually teaching non-compliance people within the organization with compliance-related stuff. And that's where I became passionate about the channels I can use. So there's the face-to-face learning, there's the learning management system. There's different strokes for different folks, really. But how do you teach people in the best possible way? We have a mandate. You will have a mandate for your learning management system and for rolling out your modules. Be it whether you're in HR and you need to teach people about diversity and inclusion because it's one of your mandates, one of your big values, one of your visions for the organization. Or you might be in finance and you need to teach people about anti-money laundering and all the other fun stuff. Or you're in IT and you need to tell the company how to use social media and how not to use it. So you will all have a mandate for why do you actually need to teach people these kind of things and why do you need to roll out a learning management system. For safety, it is stuff like this. You know, the WHS Act says that every organization needs to teach workers about the risks to their health and safety so that they can actually operate in a safe manner. Well, that's why I usually ended up with rolling out modules. But like I say, for you, it might be different reasons. I'll keep this very generic, but I think we just need to always be aware, why do we even want to roll out a learning management system? Why do we want to build that kitchen? Who do we want to feed? And why do we want to feed them, and what do we want to feed them with? So what's the goal? I always sort of say, you know, keeping the end goal in mind. What do I really want to achieve? Do I want to achieve 100% course completion? Oh, that's exciting, isn't it? 100%, I can go, KPI met, and I go to people 3 months later and say, remember that course that you did? When they go, what course? Right? Don't know if that's really the measure of it. Or 99.97% uptime of the learning management system, all those great things that they'll tell you. Or is it that our modules really comply exactly and are exactly aligned with policies and procedures? Is that maybe the goal? I don't think so. I think the real answer is, let's aim high and let's have as a goal that people are excited about this thing. I want people, that's excitement for me. I want people to be excited. They should log on and they should see that course that you prepared for them, and they should be excited. And like I say, it's not always easy, but I think that's what we should aim for. They should be pumped. Excited and pumped, that's the goal. Now, like I say, the problem is often that non-compliance people don't get very excited about compliance. They don't really want to know that. All they really want to know, and please keep this in mind, we shouldn't be under any illusion in learning and development. People just want to get on with their job, really. And I think we need to keep in mind that that is really the basis. People actually don't want to do this thing. They just get chased up by their manager because the box isn't ticked yet. So they want to, but what you want to do is generate that excitement and having people, to a degree, pumped about actually doing this. So the following couple of considerations, I suppose, I'm going to share with you are how we at Staples actually got people sufficiently excited and pumped to reach 90% course completion within 90 days, which I think is great. But again, it's not all about course completion. But we generated a bit of dynamic and a bit of excitement, I believe, about rolling out some courses. Now, how do we do that? The first consideration, I think, is that you should really identify and involve your stakeholders. Involve them in topic selection. So what is it that you actually want to teach people? I know you might already have the answer, but still involve the people, because you might just have a blind spot and not really know. There might be a topic that's already been covered. There might be a topic that's not quite relevant, or whatever the case might be. So do involve people that later will become your little disciples, your super users in the business. Involve them in the topic selection. Involve them in the content writing. Absolutely. Firstly, it saves you a bit of time. But secondly, they have that sense of ownership, right? Really important. Course design. What's it going to look like? What's it going to feel like? Involve them in that, because that way you get your organization's fingerprints all over this course. And it's not sort of an off-the-shelf thing that doesn't feel like it's written for your organization. So involve people in the course design. Involve people in the quality assurance. What I mean by that is, once you've got the course on at the draft stage, there's a great review process in Elmo, actually, where you can send an email with a link to the draft course to your key stakeholders and say, hey, comment on each slide individually, see what you think, and then you can, as a course administrator, review that against each slide and either dismiss it or incorporate it or discuss it with the person. So do use that. I think it's great. Include them in the rollout schedule. Last thing you want to do is, because you sit in your little LMS cone and your L&D, in your L&D castle, and you say, hey, we're going to roll this out on Monday, whereas that's end of financial year. Finance is not going to have time to even read the email. Or it might be, you're just entering a new market. Market's not going to have time for the next 2 months. So be mindful that you involve stakeholders from every business unit, so you're aware of those things, that other things that are happening in your organization. You don't want to interfere. The last thing that you want to do is come over the top of something else and be seen as an annoyance. And it's very easy when you roll out courses. I've been there. And lastly, communications planning. We've got, whether I was with Qantas or Lend-Lease or wherever I was consulting, we have very diverse workforces, geographically dispersed, but also you've got blue collar, you've got white collar, you've got people on the road that can't even remember their log on for the computer. So how do you actually communicate it to those people? So email's great for us as office-based people. Well, what's it look like for someone who's normally in a warehouse, who's normally a delivery driver? You know, are they going to read that email? If they're not, then don't be surprised if they don't do the course. But like I say, they can't even remember the password to log onto the computer. Secondly, plan and test the integration with your HR system, with your HR management system. So all of you have an HR management system. The integration is important because one of the things that you don't want to do is have a situation where you roll out a learning management system. People want to be excited and pumped and they log on and it doesn't work because they didn't get the password, or the password isn't right, or there's a connectivity problem, or you realize it doesn't work via VPN because they're at home or at the airport now or wherever they might be. So do make sure that that integration works really well. It's about logging on, but it's also about reporting. If you generate a report out of your learning management system and it shows that, Sam Smith hasn't done the course, and you try to match it with your HR system, and it's actually Samantha Smith, and as a result it's not a match. How are you going to assist your managers in actually making sure that people do that course? That doesn't get them excited and pumped if there's a poor integration with your HR system. So do make sure that that works, that integration works really well. The third consideration is really to make it relevant and relatable for people. I think that's really important. So this is one of our screenshots. So firstly, we don't use the word Elmo anywhere, as you can see here, because I don't want to use it, because people don't care if it's Elmo or Limo or Lego or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. It's the Staples e-learning system. It's not some other company telling us, how to do e-learning. It's ours. There's our logo. There's my team, right? And they're geographically dispersed. So everyone, almost of those 1,600 people who does the course, will probably know one of these people. So they go, oh, man, there's Rod. There's Rod. Hey, Rod, look, you're on the computer. That's the kind of conversation you want to generate. And then the others go, hey, what system are you in? Oh, it's the Staples e-learning system. That is self-propelling conversations. That's the excitement that you want to generate. The corporate compliance team welcomes you, blah, blah, blah. So it feels like it's written for us. Do yourself a favor, don't use those stock photos from America. Nothing against America. My headquarters are in America as well. But when people see those sort of cheesy models, in those offices that are clearly not ours, and in the background you see the skyline of Manhattan and they're sort of shaking hand there. And it's a fantastic photo, but it's a stock photo. It's not our office. So people don't relate to that. People don't relate to that. People relate to this. This is actually even out of focus. The person who took this out of focus. Still better than a quality stock photo, because it's us. And that is really, really, don't undervalue the importance of people identifying with that as, this is written for me. We even went as far as saying to people, send in photos of yourself, right? Doing something loosely related to the course topic. So Chris sent in a photo with a pot plant with him. Within 10 minutes, we had it up on the course. So again, Chris, look, it's you in the computer. That's fantastic. So it generates that conversation. And it really gives people that ownership of the course content. They're going to go, oh, I'm going to send a photo, see if they put it up. Now, the good thing is, it's a learning management system in Elmo that we can actually do this within a few minutes. You publish it to the LMS, boom, it's there. Chris was on there within 5 minutes. So, be mindful of that. Terminology is another one. If your organization calls staff people as opposed to employees, and you download a course and it calls them all employees and you call them people, they read one sentence. People aren't stupid, right? They see, is this written for us, or is this downloaded is this generic vanilla flavored content? And it makes a big difference. Make it pain-free. Now, learning, often when you get an email, oh, you got to do this course, it's painful. You've got a lot on your plate. Everyone's got a lot on their plate. And here's headquarters telling me I've got to do this course. So how do you make it pain-free? Make them short. Research shows that people can't spend attention for much more than 12 minutes. And when we roll out the courses, keep it to 12 minutes. Really, if you can't tell your people within 12 minutes what it is that you want to tell them, then maybe look at the design of the course and the content again. If you really need 24 minutes, make it 2 courses and somehow break it up, or make it 3 courses or 4 courses, and give people ample opportunity to do them. Because it's a pain when you're told that you have to do it by the end of the month, and like I say, it's end of financial year, whatever the case might be. So you don't want to be a pain, because people aren't going to be excited and pumped about that. People will have to want to go on and do that course. So give them a fair go, a fair opportunity to actually do that. Actually verify competency. So I'm always scared that an auditor or I walk around the office and say, hey, remember that environmental course? And they go, what environmental course? And I go, well, you've actually done it 3 weeks ago, and they can't remember a thing. So make sure that it actually sticks in there. How do you do that? I think verification of competency throughout the course, but particularly at the end, is still valid. It's probably the best way of verifying competency. The quiz function, the quiz is certainly good. It's probably the best you can do as far as online learning is concerned. Elmo's got a good quiz function, I have to say. You can create a huge pool of questions, and Elmo draws a random set of those questions out of it. So I think that works really well, but the important questions, the stuff that you really want people to remember, don't randomize those. You can actually force them into the quiz, so they're always there. So our drug and alcohol course, I want people to know what our alcohol limit, breath alcohol limit in the organization is. That question will always be in the course, and the rest is randomized. So stuff like that. So think about what's important, what's not important. And seek feedback. So the last slide in your course should be, click here to let us know what you thought about the course. That is so easy. It's free. It's free. It's just, people click on it, up pops a blank email, people can type in there to your system administrator. Oh, that slide is actually wrong. No, I get the email, I go, yeah, it is wrong, right? It's happened. It's fine. It's how you seek feedback. You can even put a 1 to 10 scale. What do you think? Would you recommend this course to your colleagues or not? If you only get ones, then that's a problem. You've got a problem. So really seek that feedback actively. You've got nothing to lose. It's better people telling you than people telling colleagues, oh, did you do that course? Gee, that's crap. How long does it take? 2 hours. Man, that's boring. So then people put it out and out and out. So you want people to tell you. Second last, provide incentives. That's my top tip of the day, I reckon. That's really worked well in most organizations that I've worked for. What we did is first 100 people to complete a course, all right? Go in the draw for a movie card, all right? Easy, cheap, $25 or whatever each, $250 free, all right? And then the first 2 states that had a completion of 80% in the state, everyone in that state went into a draw for $50 Westfield vouchers, cheap. But can you imagine what that because no one knows where their state is actually at. This is good, right? So they're all thinking, hey, maybe we're close to 80%, I better do it. So we actually reached 90% within 90 days, which I think is a good outcome. And it's not all thanks to the incentives, but give a bit of a carrot, not only the stick. And I think those things work really well. And lastly, choose your LMS wisely. I'd be foolish to stand up here at an Elmo presentation and not at least give a mention to the people who invited me. They're not going to invite me back. But what we were really impressed about, I've seen a lot of LMSs. I've seen very large LMSs that generally come from countries overseas. Problems with that where they are huge. They are really huge. It takes 8 months to upgrade from version 5.2 to version 5.3. That just can't be. You want people to be excited. You want people to be pumped. You need to be agile. You need to meet business demands. And I actually genuinely found that we implemented Elmo, including 3 mandatory modules, within about 10 weeks. 10 weeks, because it is so streamlined and so slim. The support is local, and we love that, as opposed to the US, where you write a question, you have to wait till tomorrow to get an answer. I did really like that about that, and hand on heart, I can say it was one of the better learning management systems that I've seen. So if you did like my considerations, the 8 considerations that I shared with you today, then pick an LMS, be it this one or be it another one, that can actually support you in making those considerations reality. Thank you.